Hey everybody, it's Ben and Beta, and I have gotten questions about how you get into overlanding, like how you get started, what are some tips and tricks for some of that. And so I thought we'd film something about this. We're still relatively new to the overlanding scene, but Misty and I have been out a few times. We have some tips and tricks, but we actually have 3 newbies on this trip. So I'm gonna go through with Misty and the group, and they're gonna talk a little bit about some tips and tricks, and then I'll ask some questions as well. And hopefully they'll answer some of your questions so that you feel more comfortable coming out and doing some overlanding. So let's introduce you to the panel. So we have...
Hi everyone, I'm Misty. I'm Ben's wife.
Hi everyone, I'm Brian from Wisconsin, and I am their friend, the owner of the Jeep right behind me.
Hi, I'm Autumn, friends with Ben and Misty.
And I'm Casey. I am also friends with Ben and Misty. And Brian.
They came in this vehicle right here. What do we think of this overlanding thing after we've done it now?
Love it.
Definitely be doing it again.
It's beautiful, gorgeous views.
Yeah, enjoying it. I feel like we had a bit of an advantage though, coming with Ben and Misty. Being a little more set up.
We had the pros on our side.
One of your tips might be...
Go with someone who has a little experience with it. Makes it a little smoother.
Any other tips somebody wants to give real quick?
Don't overpack. You are not going to need as many clothes as you think. We're on day 3 and I have only changed 1 time.
Our cooler is still completely full. And we definitely took more than we needed to. I think we thought we were going to drink more drinks than, like alcohol than we thought we were going to, but at 10,600 feet of elevation, that's another thing to keep in mind. We just water, that's what you need to drink. So I think that's a big deal.
Gatorade. Electrolytes.
Yes. Let's go with the next question of 1 or 2 things you were like, I was very concerned about this, and here's how it turned out.
Okay, yeah, so my biggest concern was renting the van and being along for the ride with people who have vehicles that are a little better equipped for kind of off-roading. And it worked out well. The van did great, and also we had great support from the rest of the team just in terms of spotting. And we finally hit a spot where it was like, nope, this is too much. So we just turned around and found a different camp spot. So I guess being flexible was a big pro for us. But yeah, that was probably like the biggest concern, and we just kind of managed it and rolled with the punches.
I'd say my biggest concern coming out of this is making sure that not only we have enough water, which we do, but enough fuel. Because I have a 5-gallon extra tank in my vehicle, which I am definitely going to need to be able to get back to civilization after doing some of the off-roading on the trails and whatnot that we've done the last couple of days.
Yeah, so I think that's another great tip, is just make sure you have enough fuel. We're really remote here. It was about 50 miles, I think, to get to this area where we are right now. And then we've tried a couple times to get to a spot that just is a little bit inaccessible for our vehicles. Although the Jeep would have made it, we just decided to turn back around because of the gas situation. Another tip I would give is listen to people that you meet along the trail. We ran into some people who did make it to the location, which is Adams Lake, we were going to originally get to, and they basically said, you know what, from this location on, it gets even harder from here, and it took them like another couple of hours to get to the lake from the location we were at and we decided to turn around at. So we decided we didn't have enough fuel for that, and we made that decision and came back, and this is still a gorgeous location. Like this is still beautiful. So don't be worried about turning around, like scout some stuff out. We did some pre-scouting a little bit, like these could be some locations, these could be some locations we'd be happy with coming back to, so that helped too. Misty, you got any?
I don't know, being with you, I'm less concerned because you seem to have all the answers. I was a little wary the first time we went out about going to the bathroom outdoors, number 2, but we have our great little outhouse and it has worked out fantastic. So ladies, don't be afraid.
I just want to say, Misty said I had all the answers. That's never happened ever on camera, but I'm just going to keep playing that clip over and over again.
On this topic. I'd say the only other concern that I had, just again coming from Wisconsin, thankfully Ben was nice enough to fly out and then ride back with me to Colorado with me for the trip out here. But driving, I drove solo, so while my vehicle may be the most capable of the 3 out in the area that we're at, it still would be nice to have that second person there kind of paying attention to what's around you and getting out and spotting if need be. So I would say definitely go with other people.
And then other people have asked again, like, how do you get into overlanding? What do you need to buy? What should you do? And so I would say this, and this is the important part, before you go and you spend, $50,000 on a vehicle / then another $10,000 putting a tent and all that kind of stuff on it, or doing kind of something similar to a Jeep, even if you buy something used and get it for 20 or 30,000 and do the same thing, you might want to go the route of actually renting something. So back here we have this van, and that was done through Outdoorsy, right? And so can you guys tell me a little bit about your van, your experience, and go ahead and be completely honest. If you were uncomfortable and whatever, talk about that, because I think people need to hear those things. So like what was comfortable, what was good, what was not, and then maybe why you felt that way. So let's talk a little bit about like renting a vehicle, what the experience was like, and like what tips you might have for people along that.
Yeah, so I think some things I've really liked about the van, it has a sink in it, which has been really nice. You can brush your teeth, wash your hands, that kind of thing. It has like an actual mattress and a bed, so it feels a lot more comfortable than some of my previous camping experiences where I was just sleeping on the ground in a tent. So that's been pretty good. I think towards the end of our off-roading, it felt a little wonky. I think the van just isn't quite made for that level of off-roading as some of the other vehicles, but as someone who's not as experienced of a camper, I think it is really nice to have the van and have this set up, and it came with a lot of the supplies and materials that we didn't necessarily have, so that was great. We didn't have to buy a lot of camp specific stuff.
So renting for you was a pretty good experience.
Yeah, I think so. I think it made it a lot more comfortable.
And I'm gonna assume something here, so like, you can tell me if I'm wrong. You enjoyed it enough that you would maybe do it again, and you'd probably rent something again, but you're not ready to buy a whole setup or anything like that. You're not even really interested in doing that, but would you do it again? I think that's another question based upon your experience.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm ready to run out and buy a Jeep or a truck, but I would do it again and rent something again like that, I think.
Yeah, one thing that might be a good suggestion is just like start small, right? Like we've talked about, like hitting a place that's like an hour from your home or whatever, if that's a possibility for you, versus some big excursion, just as a way to kind of dip your toes in the water and make sure you've got the equipment you need, and if something does go wrong, then it's an easy shot back home. So kind of takes like the discomfort out of it, because you can just turn around and get home anytime you want.
How'd you feel about the van? Again, you said the van was much more capable than you thought it was going to be. So any other kind of follow-ups there?
Yeah, I've been super happy with it. Honestly, like even when we were hitting the pretty gnarly sections of trail, like it never once felt unsafe. Like I suppose there's a section you could take it on in which that would be the case, but for us, like felt safe the entire time. My primary concern was just, you're using someone else's vehicle, like you want to return it in the same condition that you got it and don't want to get billed for any damage. So I felt very comfortable. As far as the rest of the rental process goes, it was super smooth. Got a good walkthrough when we picked it up. So we haven't really had to do much in terms of like battery just works itself. All the appliances kind of work themselves. It's really just like having a little mobile apartment. So yeah, it's been pretty smooth.
So there you have it. There's some tips and tricks from some newbie overlanders and just some ways to get into it. And I think the rental was a good, smart way to do that. We were going to rent something. It just happened that we started that process a year in advance of renting things. And then by the time that came around, we'd already had bought vehicles or had tents and stuff. And we decided just to test those out, which I'm glad we did. It made sense. But any last comments from anybody?
Get out. It's fun. We love it.
Leave no trace.
It's a great way to unplug and just be out in nature for a bit, take a break.
Yeah, nothing to add to that.
All right, well, thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, share this out with other people who might be thinking about going overlanding or concerned about it, or people you might want to come with you, you want to convince them. We had a great time, everybody survived, so.
Oh, one more tip.
Oh, well, there's one more tip.
If you're coming out, bring a lot of bug spray.
Yes.
Bug spray or a thermocell, because the thermocell worked amazing underneath the camp kitchen area with a moonshade. So yes, definitely bring bug spray when you're going in the wilderness. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Remember, live your life in beta, and we'll see you next time.